In this lab, you need to configure a router on a switch. In other words, configure inter-VLAN routing, but using the router to do the routing from one VLAN to another. In this topology, you've got a router. Router 1, it's an ISR 4321. We've also got a switch, 3650 switch here. We've got two PCs, PC1 and PC2. This switch, however, even though it's a layer 3 switch or multi-layer switch, is going to be configured as a layer 2 switch because the router is going to do the inter-VLAN routing. This is simply going to be configured with VLANs. So you need to configure the switch with VLAN 10 over here and VLAN 20 over here. PCs are on those VLANs. You need to configure the router for inter-VLAN routing. So we're told to configure the router on a stick as follows. VLAN 1 uses this subnet, VLAN 10 this subnet, VLAN 20 this subnet. Router is going to use the last IP address in the subnet. Switch is going to be configured with this IP address only. In other words, it's a layer 2 switch. It's not doing the inter-VLAN routing from VLAN 10 to VLAN 20 or VLAN 10 to VLAN 1 and so forth. It simply has an IP address for management purposes. In other words, you could telnet or SSH to the switch from one of the PCs and manage the switch, but it's not going to do any of the inter-VLAN routing. That's going to be done by this router here. You need to configure the VLANs on the switch. Once again, VLAN 10 over here, VLAN 20 over here. You need to configure the link between the switch and the router. Don't forget the encapsulation that you need to use. Don't forget about some of the other options that you need to configure on the router to configure the inter-VLAN routing. And then you need to make sure that PC1 can ping PC2. So make sure that you have IP connectivity in your network. As an extra, make sure that the switch can ping the devices. Make sure that the PCs can ping the switch. So see this kind of like extra credit. Make sure that you have full connectivity in the network. Initially, you could just get IP connectivity between the PCs per 0.5 over here. But for extra credit, if you like, get full connectivity in the network. That means you need to do additional configuration on the switch to get this to work. And there's a bit of a gotcha or a bit of a problem on the switch that you need to be aware of. Okay, so can you get this working? Now, if you're not sure, as always, don't worry. I show you how to do this in the next video. So if you're struggling, go to the next video and then I'll show you step by step how to get this working.